It's Locked On NBA Game Night. I'm Wes Goldberg here with Swipa. Coming up, Nikola Jokic is putting up historic numbers even for him. We'll break down his huge weekend and what it means for the Nuggets going forward. Plus, we react to a thriller between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, and we finally get a look at what the 76ers could be with their big three on the court. Let's jump in.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to Locked On NBA Game Night, everybody. Every game, every night in 30 minutes. Wes Goldberg here with Swipa. However, you might be tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen every day. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Got a jam-packed show for y'all today, this Sunday night. Got a 12-game slate to get to. We got to get started right in. We're going to jump right in here with San Francisco. The Warriors beat the Timberwolves 114-106. Steph and Draymond were awesome down the stretch in this game. Draymond even hit him with the night-night celebration after the game-sealing dunk. Steph had 30 points in the game. Buddy Hield had 27. Jonathan Kuminga, starting at power forward in a small ball lineup with Draymond on center, he had 20 points. And in some ways, Swipa, this game felt like classic Warriors, but obviously with a lot of new faces. What did you see in this one?
Well, the thing is, the Warriors, they have matchups that they don't work well with, and they have matchups that they can take advantage of, and this is a matchup that they can take advantage of. And this is not to discredit the Wolves, who are still a very sound team, but the Warriors spread them out, and they just had them working all over the court. And Rudy Gobert, a great defender, again, just the way they're able to manipulate the pace and the flow of the game, it is really just truly like a testament to how well coached they are. And I know people don't love Steve Kerr all the time, especially in Warriors land, but man, like they did a really incredible job tonight. And both teams shot well. The Warriors shot 16 of 41 from three. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves, they shot 19 of 42. Very high efficiency. Both teams were finding really good looks. Both teams were converting. But again, this is for me the same thing with the Warriors that is consistent. Is Steph Curry, if he has a Steph Curry game and he gets help, it's very difficult to beat the Golden State Warriors. He was a nightmare at different points in time in this game. He had 30 points, 5 of 11 from the three-point line, 9 of 11 free throws for Steph Curry. Getting to the free throw line, getting inside, man, that's just a spectacular game. And then shout out Buddy Hield. He started the year off really well and then kind of like cooled off a little bit too hard and like kind of reverted back to 76ers Buddy Hield. But he looked incredible tonight, and especially like when you're already like in a lead. Like there was a point in time where the Golden State Warriors had like an 8-point lead, and Buddy Hield comes off of a down screen, hits a three-pointer. It just changes the complexion and feel of the game. And you're trying to fight back and get back in the game. And instead of being 8, now it's all the way at 11. When they have those connected pieces doing their job around Steph Curry, this is going to be one of the most difficult teams to beat in the Western Conference.
Yeah, you mentioned Buddy Hield going off in that second half there, especially the Warriors had 44 points in the third quarter. You know, and they are, I think, still the number one team scoring margin-wise in the third quarter in the NBA this year. That's classic Warriors stuff, right? Like when they were dynastic, they would always just blow you out in the third quarter to the point where the fourth quarter barely even mattered half the time. And it felt like that with Buddy Hield in that building, right, in the Bay Area. You know, the fans know how to root for three-pointers going in, right? Like they know how to treat a hot streak. They know how to treat, those kinds of things because I've just seen it so many different times. So the fact that it's Buddy Hield instead of Klay Thompson doing it right now, or Kevin Durant in the whatever, it still kind of feels that way. And then you've got Gary Payton II, who obviously, you know, he's part of the 2022 championship team, but he's sort of like this new Andre Iguodala where I don't know if he ever even holds the ball for more than a second.
Yeah.
You know, and when he does have the ball in his hands, it's because he's getting a steal or a block on the defensive end. But he had this like that incredible steal in the fourth quarter off that pass where he just like went up like Ed Reed style and just like yanked the ball out of the air, and you're just like, what is going on with this guy? And so they have this like kind of nice offense defense thing going on with Hield and with Gary Payton. But you mentioned like the matchup here, and I thought that was so interesting too because they decide, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and start Draymond again. So they over the last game or two, they moved Draymond Green to the bench so that they could start Jonathan Kuminga, so he could play in a little bit more space alongside Kevon Looney, a true center. And in this game, they said, you know what, we're just gonna go small and we're gonna space him out and we're gonna play Warriors basketball, and that's what it looked like. And Rudy Gobert was a -12 in this game. Like they did do the thing that they wanted to do.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is Jonathan Kuminga, he doesn't have like all the tools that you want, but there was a play today where they were trailing by 1 point. Jonathan Kuminga gets on a cut to the basket, and it's Rudy. Rudy's at the rim. Mm-hmm. Jonathan just flies through the air and finishes. And I really think, man, they have something special. And I know the Warriors, I don't think they're going to end up being like a great Western Conference team by any stretch, but the idea of Kuminga and Pods and Moody around Steph and Draymond and Buddy Hield, it actually works like in terms of what you think it should be. Mm-hmm. Trace Jackson Davis, Kevon Looney, they actually have a really nice rotation of players. But again, the problem is Steph Curry is just, at 36 years old, asking him to be spectacular every single game is going to be rough. But real quickly on the Minnesota side, I want to be very clear about this. I have been talking about Nickeil Alexander-Walker for 2 years now. Everyone knows, like I've had an infatuation with Nickeil for the last several years. He's a two-way player. He's 6'5", elite defender, and he was just being like not used at all prior to getting Minnesota Timberwolves. Tonight off the bench, 19 points and 4 or 5 from three, and he himself helped get them back in the game in the fourth quarter.
Yep, those two big three-pointers.
So shout out to Nickeil, man. That they have made so many smart pickups and getting Naz Reid in the draft. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and then getting Dante DiVincenzo. Like they have the guys, they have pieces. Again, at the top, I don't know how good they're going to be in terms of their offense in the playoff setting anymore. But again, just shout out the role players for the Wolves.
Yeah. Did not love Anthony Edwards' decision making at the end of this game. Ball got really sticky there. And it almost felt like, well, Julius Randle, the ball was sticking in his hands for a little bit of that fourth quarter, and then it felt like Anthony Edwards was like, well, now it's my turn to have the ball stick in my hands.
Yeah.
So I didn't love that, and there will be a lot of film that he can watch and maybe learn some lessons from at the end of this game, because I thought Minnesota cost themselves a chance to win this game, where the Warriors they looked experienced. Like they looked like they were the team that were in the Western Conference Finals last year, not Minnesota.
Do you think Randall long term, like for the rest of the year, do you think he's going to end up being able to be a difference maker for them when it matters?
I don't think he's on the roster by the end of the regular season. I think he's on a different team.
By the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have to, unless you can move him into a 6-man role. I like Randall. I don't think it's been as bad as people thought it was going to be, but it's also not working the way they need it to work either. And his contract's tradable. But let's go to the next game. One night after his historic 56-point performance, Nikola Jokic was a bucket shy of another 50-piece, scoring 48 points in Denver's 141-111 win over the Atlanta Hawks. The Nuggets at least did get the win this time, as opposed to losing to the Wizards on Saturday night. But Jokic, in the last 24 hours, 104 points, 30 rebounds, 18 assists while shooting 58% overall, 55% on threes. Swipa, you cover this guy up close. What are you seeing from him right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it like this. I think that, standings and stuff matters in these conversations, specifically for MVP, not for all NBA, because Luka didn't make the playoff, made first team All NBA. Shea also made first team All NBA, didn't make the playoff, and they deserved it. MVP is a different conversation entirely. But Jokic has been so much better than any other version of Joker and any other version of any other player that's currently in the league right now that it really doesn't matter. They could be the 15th seed in the West, and he would be the runaway MVP right now. I mean, that's how good he's playing. And they're obviously not. They're going to continue to move up. They'll continue to win games. Everybody can kind of stop yapping about like the 9th seed and 10th seed stuff in the West. But I'm telling you, Wes, it's incredible. Like, Jokic has basically said, oh, the team's struggling. We don't have any scores. Murray's out. Fine. Another 48 ball. And again, it's Wes, he's 39 of 67 from the field in the last 2 games. So it's not like he's shot chucking and then getting a lot of free throws. He's 20 of 26 from the free throw line. He's 6 of 11 from 3. This is a center. It's a center. And he's having his way with the NBA right now. He is 0.3 points per game, I think, less than Giannis Antetokounmpo to lead the NBA in scoring. So he's top 2 in rebounds. I think Cat might be leading the NBA in rebounds right now, and I think he's number 2 in assists, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So 2-2-2.
He's got a chance to lead all 3 categories at the end of the year if he keeps, and the Nuggets might need him to. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what he's doing. And look, the league has decided how it's going to go about defending Nikola Jokic at this point. They are going to stay home on the shooters, not let him tear you up with the passing, and they. Like, even Atlanta tonight with Clint Capella or Naki Okongwu were just like, no, we're going to play him one-on-one. And if you do that, Nikola Jokic has decided, where he used to be reluctant, and that's a very old story. It's not so much the case and hasn't been since he's been winning MVPs. But
what about the NBA Finals? Did he score in the NBA Finals?
What again? Oh, against Bam, yeah. But even then, like, remember Eric Spoelstra was asked that question. He was like, oh, is it about between choosing making Jokic a scorer or a passer? And he goes, well, maybe to the untrained eye, that's what it looks like. Well, it doesn't matter if your eye is trained, untrained, doesn't matter. There's no stopping this guy. There's no defense for him. And when you stay home on him, he's just decided, okay, like, even if it's another 7-footer in front of me, he's going to score over you. It's not even like in the past where he would go and he would kind of IQ his way to a mismatch and get a small on him. Like, he's not even bothering with that stuff anymore. He's just like, I'm just going to shoot it. Because the other thing about this too is, if there was ever a hole in Jokic's offensive game, it was that he was just sort of an okay 3-point shooter. Like, he's a career 35% 3-point shooter. He's shooting over 50% right now from 3 on twice the amount of attempts than he's averaged over his career. Like, he's a true 3-level offensive scoring threat now in a way that he never really was. And so even more of the game on that side of the ball is unlocked for him. There's literally no stopping this guy. He's the best player on the planet. It's not close. And I wrote this, I think, after the 2023 finals, it's the first time since LeBron at his peak where it was just no question who the best player in the world is, and everybody else is battling for second place. And he's been that now for 2 years, and like you said already, he's better than he's ever been, which is wild. Last word on this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, shout out Michael Porter Jr., by the way. Bounce back game. He had 26 points on 17 shots today. Christian Brown and Russell Westbrook, they held Trae Young to 1 point through 3 quarters. Great defense from them.
Coming up, we finally saw Philly's big 3. What did we like from that performance? What can we expect from them going forward? We'll talk about all of that next, coming up on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. So say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this customer offer, your new 3-month premium wireless plan just for $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. We'll be right back. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Game Night every game, every night your first listen. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Let's go to the Philadelphia 76ers, who got their first win of the season with their big 3 of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey on the court together. They beat the Bulls 108-100. Joel Embiid had 31 points in the game. Tyrese Maxey a triple-double in this one. Swipa, what did you see from Philly's big 3 that you liked?
They were on the court. And I think that's the important thing. They were on the court. They can develop some chemistry, some synergy, learn how to play together. All of the stuff that you need to do to be able to win games and to play games. So I'm just happy that everybody got a chance to play, and I'm happy that they can hopefully get a little bit of a run here to let the players be on the court. I'm happy that Embiid was able to play. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, a lot of knickknacks, a lot of things bothering him, a lot of things bothering his legs. And, they play versus a Chicago team that's like not a great team by any stretch of the imagination. They're not a, very good team even, but they do have a lot of talent on them, and they did have to work for that win. And, Paul George being able to connect, Tyrese Maxey getting ready to just kind of develop that two-man option with Embiid scoring today. He was kind of running around and jumping, looked good, finishing plays for the most part. He went 0 of 5 from 3, but I believe he went 13 of 23 from 2 today. So, again, you like to see that. You just like to see him putting shots up and getting in rhythm. So I'm glad that they were on the court together and able to get a win together. The first one this year with all three on the court.
Yeah, Chicago's been way more competitive than I thought a lot of people may have thought, which might be why they're speeding along, apparently, according to these reports, the process to maybe trading some of these guys. I think Zach LaVine can really help a team the way he's been playing, 30 points in this one. I know the contract is issue, but that's for front office
just
to figure out.
Pulling up on people too, bro. Like just crazy shot.
Joel Embiid and Paul George are not going to combine to go 0 for 10 from three-point range in very many games, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that said, it felt like Philadelphia was just playing better and probably should have won this by 10 points at least at the end here. The Paul George thing has been a concern, and now that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and Paul George are all on the court together, the more time we see with them and the longer Paul George is in this slump that has started the season, the more we're going to start talking about that and less about Joel Embiid's availability or not. And Embiid at the end of this game talking to reporters, even lamenting the fact that, hey, look, it has been really frustrating. I wish my knee was better. It's not. It sucks, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But he still had 31 points and 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. I thought he was more active defensively than he's been in a long time. Is still turning the ball over, 6 turnovers in this game. Does not look completely where he needs to be, but beggars can't be choosers in this position if you're Philadelphia. And the fact that you just got your guys for the first game is huge, and you got to win. I also like that they started Gershon Yabusele at power forward, kind of went bigger here, brought Caleb Martin off the bench. I kind of like that lineup for them. It gives Embiid just a little bit more reinforcement in that front court with a little bit more size as he kind of works his way into things here. So, yeah, if you're Philadelphia, you got to be happy with what this is. Let's go to the next game, though, here in Miami, where the Heat beat the Cavaliers 122-113. Tyler Hero had 34 points in this one. The Heat have won 3 in a row for the first time this season. And the thing that stands out during this stretch, at least for me, Swipa, is that Miami is getting quality performance from their best 3 players, right? It has been a very long time. And when I say a long time, I'm going back to even last season, where you've had Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo, all available on the court. Tyler Hero only played 42 games last year. Jimmy Butler missed a bunch of time with various injuries. So to get them all 3 on the court, which has been mostly the case this year, but Bam started the year in a little bit of a shooting slump. Jimmy Butler kind of was slow on the rollout a little bit, even though he's been playing better as of late. But Tyler Hero's been awesome all season, and this was one of his best games. And, you get a win today against Cavaliers. You got to win on Saturday night against the Phoenix Suns. You clowned the Lakers earlier in the week. You've won 3 in a row. And those 3 guys have been their best 3 players in each of those 3 games.
Yes, and I think that they can develop some synergy. And in the thing with the Heat, they just kind of beat you in waves, and it comes out of nowhere. And I think today was the Cavaliers are obviously, I think they're the best team in the NBA right now in a regular season setting. And they had a lot of momentum coming into this game. They decimated the Nuggets the other night. And here come the Miami Heat. And in the Eastern Conference in particular, we're all used to playing each other. So we're used to what the Cleveland Cavaliers are. And there's no fear in the Miami Heat. And tonight, Tyler Hero just looks different. You know what I mean? He's been their best player this year, which is, wild. I don't know how sustainable that is. But him being able to beat people off the dribble, get to the rim, who is this? You know what I mean? And Jimmy Butler being able to just close out possessions, play good defense, hit key shots, Bam Adebayo, switching, protecting at the rim, all the stuff that you need. And then you get Duncan Robinson hitting shots. So, yeah, if you get all these 3 players doing their jobs, which is what you want them to do, and then here comes, Duncan Robinson, here comes Terry Rozier. There's just a lot to this team. And so I'm actually really, really excited to see how the Heat continue to kind of stack wins over the next couple of weeks, because I really do think they have an opportunity to really run up some wins and get higher in the standings in the Eastern Conference.
I've been waiting for this team to put a regular season stretch together, right? Because there was this notion after the 2023 playoff run that the Heat don't care about the regular season and all that stuff. I'm like, well, it's really easy to say you don't care about the regular season when your whole rotation is injured for these regular seasons. But they're healthy, and they've got to care about this regular season. They've also been a play-in team 2 years in a row, and they don't want to be in the play-in mix. That's you're flirting with disaster there, like they did last year when Embiid or when Kelly Oubre landed on Jimmy Butler's knee, and then he wasn't even in there for the first round series against Boston. So they want to avoid the play-in. They want to be a solid playoff team, and if they could put a solid stretch here of, we're talking about winning streaks right now, but it doesn't even have to be a win streak necessarily. If you win 9 out of 12, something like that, that's something more than we've seen from this team in quite a long time, and at least in the regular season. And I think that proof of concept, you need that after you've lost, after you got beat in the first round in a very non-competitive way the previous season.
Do you think you have the Raptors and Pistons coming up? You think they get those wins?
I think that's going to be 5 in a row, and then I think it's Oklahoma City coming up
Oklahoma
after
City,
that.
Magic, Nets, Magic, Hawks, and then Rockets to close out the rest of December.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you can close out December with like one of those, like 8 out of 10 kind of stretches, that's an awesome thing for this Heat team. And like they do need to, not just the proof of concept part, but like you said, stack wins, climb up in the Eastern Conference a little bit and avoid that play-in. Tyler Hero, probably an all-star if he keeps this up.
Oh, no. I it's definitive. You don't. Well, again, I just want to be clear about his numbers out of respect for Hero. I believe he's averaging is 24, 5 and 5 basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
So Tyler Hero this season, he's averaging 24, 5 and 5. He's shooting 48% from the field, 42% from 3, 87% from the line. That is a clear all-star, and that's also a player that's being nominated for an all-NBA team. So, yes, 1,000%. I don't know if that's sustainable for Tyler Hero, but
that's the thing. He has been the league's second best 3-point shooter behind Anthony Edwards when you include volume and efficiency and all these things. This season.
Here we go. No, I'm about to say there's a guy shooting 50% from 3.
Who? Oh, Jokic. Yeah, that's right. So those 3 guys. Who knew that those would be your top 3 3-point shooters in the league? Anthony Edwards, Jokic, and Tyler Hero.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Tyler Hero's having an amazing year. Like,
can we get them in the 3-point? Those 3 in the 3-point contest.
Jokic would never do that. No, Jokic would never.
Got it. There needs to be a clause in these people's contracts to like make them do the fun things that everybody wants them to do.
Tyler Hero could, but Tyler Hero has a shot. I think that would work in the 3-point contest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's got that quick release. I think he would really enjoy it.
Imagine Jokic like trying to get the ball over his head like this to do that. No, that's way too long.
Yeah, put the racks up here for me, so I can just sort of like do it just overhand. All right, coming up next, we wrap up the rest of our night with wins by the Bucks, wins by the Orlando Magic, more surprises from Victor Wembanyama, all of that and more as we continue along with Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night in 30 minutes. We're going to wrap up the rest of the slate here. We'll start in Brooklyn, where Giannis Antetokounmpo had 34 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and the Milwaukee Bucks snapped a little 2-game skid here with a 118-113 win over the Brooklyn Nets. Chris Middleton, playing in just his 3rd game for the year, scored 7 points in the 4th quarter. Here's more of what happened from Locked On Bucks.
Milwaukee Bucks snapped a 2-game losing streak with a win over the Brooklyn Nets. And it wasn't a Bucks game won in a way you might assume. Yes, Giannis was looking like Giannis throughout most of the game, but it was the bench for the Milwaukee Bucks that really came through strong. Bobby Portis, 23 points, 9 of 10 from the field, 5 of 5 from 3. A perfect 4 of 4 from 3 in the 4th quarter when the Bucks really need to put those comeback efforts into play, and Bobby Portis was a big driving point of that for the squad. Gary Trent Jr. also had 20 points off the bench, and the Bucks found a way to win, unlike what you saw against the Celtics, On Friday night, when in the fourth quarter down the stretch, the ball started to stick. Too much ISO ball. In this game against the Nets, you saw the Bucks trusting one another. You saw them moving the ball around and making the right play. And it came out as a victory for the Bucks. Next up for them on Tuesday, NBA Cup matchup against the Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. I'm sorry, the song is catchy.
So, anything stick out to you from this Milwaukee game? Because the thing with Middleton back in that lineup, especially at the end, now that they've elevated Andre Jackson Jr. to a starting spot, they have a lot more length than they had. This is a team that felt really small to start the year with all the injuries and some of the lineups that they were playing. Now they feel like big. It feels like what the Milwaukee Bucks used to be, where they were always like one of the longer, bigger, more physical teams. And then when you get a nice game from Bobby Portis, that obviously helps.
Oh yeah, they are a Bobby Portis masterclass, not happening away from losing this game. 1,000%. Bobby Portis made huge 3-pointers, and not like close 3-pointers. He was about 3-4 feet off the line, daggers that was helping them to stay in the game. So, but Cam Johnson also had a lucky dribble headsy tween step back three as well. So like just shot making was really good down the stretch of the game. But shout out to the Bucks, man. They are not beating good teams. They're beating bad teams, but that's what matters. Again, it really doesn't matter. Like you just saw the Nuggets lost to the Wizards and they didn't have anybody on the court. So you need to beat the teams that are on your schedule, and they're beating teams that are competitive. The Nets, no Cam Johnson, obviously out with an injury, so they're not the same team they were.
Cam Thomas.
Just a couple. Sorry, Cam Thomas, who just went out. But they're still a competitive team. They're still a good team. They're still a team with a lot of firepower. And so you want to be able to close out games like this, and they're doing their job. And the Bucks, all of a sudden, they were in the run to see if they can move up into the top of the Eastern Conference.
You know, it was funny. I'm watching that game, and I don't have the box score in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Brooklyn, they got Dorian Finney-Smith that they're throwing at him. They can throw Ben Simmons at Giannis. Like they've got a lot of these guys, a lot of size, like Nick Claxton on the back line. Like they're kind of making it tough for Giannis a little bit. Like. And then I look at the box score. Nope, Giannis 34 points on 14 for 22 shooting, 64% shooting, and I was like, yeah, man. It just even when you make it tough for that guy, it does not matter. Jokic is probably the MVP favorite right now, but Giannis is he's going to be on. He's going to be on those ballots. Let's go to San Antonio, where the Spurs beat the Pelicans 121-116. Victor Wembanyama, clutch 3-pointer at the end of this one to give the Spurs a 1-point lead late in the game. He has 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks in the game. A little side note, Chris Paul passed Jason Kidd for number 2 on the all-time assist leaderboard tonight. He had 10 assists in this game. But Swipa, what did you see from Victor Wembanyama?
He's been a madman as of late. And if you just like kind of just have been checking in with Victor, like he started the season off really slow, but really ever since that point, Victor has been a legitimate top 10 player in the world. Listen to this. Do you realize that Victor in his last 10 games, Wes, he's averaging 28 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists over that stretch, 51% from the field. He's shooting 40% from 3 on 11 attempts a game as a 6'5" player. He's shooting 78% from the line. And they have been pretty good over that 10-game stretch as well. Mm-hmm. The dude is a nightmare. And including just like trying to think, he's averaging also in the course of that stretch 3 blocks a game. Like, and then he's closing out games as a 3-point shooter, like with Chris Paul's playmaking. So the Spurs, like I said they were going to be good coming into this year. I thought they could be pushing for a play-in team. The Spurs are even better than I thought they would be. They're a deep, young, confident team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly a little surprised. They're 12-12 right now, but that's better than I thought they were going to be at this stage of the season. Victor Wembanyama only is going to get better as the season goes on. They're getting a lot of good stuff from Stephon Castle, and I think his shooting is only going to bounce up and be a little bit better for them. Devin Vassell's in the lineup again after missing the start of the season. They just got Sohan back, who was playing really well for them before he got hurt, and so. There's a lot of good stuff happening right there, right now in San Antonio. Victor Wembanyama, for them to be a real like play-in playoff team, it's going to require Victor Wembanyama being one of the best 10 players on the planet. And to your point, he's literally been that. So the formula, I guess, is working. The Pacers fell to the Hornets 113-109 as they slide to 5 games under 500. the Indiana Pacers. Here's more from Locked On Pacers.
Tony East here with Locked On Pacers in the lobby here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. There's high school on the court, so we got to talk out here about the Pacers' loss to the Hornets. What? At home? Huh? No LaMelo Ball, no Miles Bridges. Pacers still can't win. Under 30 points combined from Tyrese Halliburton, Ben Mathurin, and Pascal Siakam. TJ McConnell was unbelievable. He had 30 points, a career high. They could not stop him, the Hornets could, and they still won the game. This is who the Pacers are. I'm out of stuff to say. I think most people are. They have a different reason they lose every game, and they're 10-15. You know what? That's the sign of a bad team. They're a bad team right now. They've talked about effort. They've talked about their offensive process. They've tried to tweak things here and there. They've been injured. All these things are true. They need to play better. Tonight, they were bad. And for much of the season, they've been bad. For a team that was so good for much of last year, conference finals, in-season tournament run, this year has not felt the same. Try to get to the bottom of it on Locked On Pacers.
There it is. I guess the Pacers are just bad. Any words on here before we wrap up the rest of the game night?
I don't know what's going on with the Pacers or how.
Nobody does. If Tony doesn't know what's going on, then nobody knows. He's the guy that covers the team. Let's go to Orlando. Jalen Suggs, huge fourth quarter for the Orlando Magic, scoring 14 of his 26 points in that frame. He helped secure a 115-110 win over the Phoenix Suns in their first game since it was announced that Franz Wagner is out indefinitely with a torn oblique. Let's hear from Locked On Magic.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic. And in the first game with the Orlando Magic without Franz Wagner, the Orlando Magic get a win over the Phoenix Suns. And this is how they're going to have to play. They're going to have to play together. They're going to have to find a way to gut out victories. They're going to have to find a way to do everything that they normally do with Franz Wagner. They just got to find a way. And at the end of the day, this is who you have to be when you're down key players. You have to be able to still stick to your standard, especially when you're a team like the Orlando Magic that has a standard of play, that has a way of playing, that has the defense that they have, that isn't necessarily an offensive team. You still got to find a way to kind of stick to who you are. The Orlando Magic are one of the best fourth quarter teams in the league. And when the Magic got this game in the fourth quarter, they stepped up. It was Jalen Suggs scoring 22 of his 26 points in the second half, hitting big threes throughout the fourth quarter that enabled Orlando to win this game. Everyone's going to have to pull together to make this thing work. And the Magic simply found a way, and hopefully this is a sign that they'll be able to hold the boat steady.
No Ja Morant, no problem for the Memphis Grizzlies, who beat the Wizards 140-112. Let's hear from Locked On Grizzlies with more.
Coming off one of the biggest regular season victories the Memphis Grizzlies have had in some time, it would be understandable if they came out with a little bit of lackadaisical effort against the worst team in the National Basketball Association this season, the Washington Wizards, on the second night of the back-to-back. The exact opposite happened. Jaren Jackson Jr. led the charge early, setting the tone, only played 17 minutes. No Ja Morant, no Desmond Bane. They were not needed. Memphis blows out the Wizards. I'm Joe Mullinax of Locked On Grizzlies, and that sentence there, the Grizzlies blow out the Wizards, that's not what's impressive. No disrespect to Washington. They're not trying to actively win this season. Look at their injury report, for example. What is impressive is how Memphis took the emotional high of winning for the first time in Boston in a decade, and they turned it, flipped the script without two of their best players, and they found a way to win. Strong performances by Jay Huff, Santi Aldama. The depth of the Grizzlies organization was on full display in Washington on Sunday night.
And finally, Sacramento. The Kings beat the Jazz 141-97. The Kings made 22 three-pointers and led wire to wire. Not competitive. The Rockets beat the Clippers 117-106. Jalen Green with 31 points in this one to snap a two-game skid for Houston. Amen Thompson, 22 points as a starter in place of Fred VanVleet, who was sidelined with a knee issue, not expected to be a long-term thing. And the Lakers beat the Trailblazers 107-98. LeBron James got the night off. The Lakers are still without Austin Reeves, but they got big games from D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis. And Swipa, that does it. That wraps up Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app.